Here's a question. Does how you were raised impact how you raise your own kids?
Maybe you modeled the same parenting style your folks had, or maybe you decided to go just in the complete opposite direction. Roxia joins us now to talk about the types of parenting, because there's different types.
Yes. There are different types, yeah. So one of the things that our parenting expert talked about this week was the different types of parenting that exist. And generally, she says that society sees parenting in a couple of different ways.
The pendulum swings either to authoritarian parenting, which tends to be very loud and forceful and threatening and a little bit even sometimes scary. And then the other pendulum tends to swing to permissive, where kids have no boundaries and no structure and it's a free for all. Neither one of those feels good, I don't think, to the kid or the parent, but we kind of fall into those categories based on how we were raised. And somewhere in between those two, what we're aiming for, I say conscious, but just the more mindful, aware parenting of noticing our patterns, noticing our yelling, noticing those times that we don't get it right and saying, I wonder what was going on there to make me feel so overwhelmed or so enraged, and kind of putting a stick in the spoke of those behaviors by becoming aware of them instead of just doing the thing that we were raised with or the thing that we think is just the default.
Yeah, so most of the time she says we do swing from one end to the other, and the goal is to be somewhere in the middle. Try to be consistently conscious, the word we used yesterday as well. Right. She emphasizes, it's important not to think perfect. Kids don't need that perfect parent. They need parents who are invested. They're there to deal with them for whatever the situation may be, to listen, just to be present and to be in the moment. Yeah. So, were you guys raised in a strict manner?
I think when it came to privacy, it was pretty strict. I didn't have much. And that's something that we learned from our parents, right?
You mean like privacy at home?
Privacy, reading through the diaries and checking the
they were all up in
messages.
there, stuff like that?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Mama Llamas was all up in it.
Oh.
But this is what I've learned about what I'm going to be doing, is just giving them some more privacy and trusting them in some way to make their own decisions.
Yeah, but at what age?
At what age? Yeah.
So you have to, when they're younger, you can't really, do the trusting thing as much, because you have to be there to oversee. See, I think the balance is trying to figure out, you want to be their friend so they come to you with things, right? And be comfortable enough to speak with you about certain topics, but you also have to be the parent. So it's finding that balance.
My parents paid attention. They paid attention to what we were going through and what we were doing. My mom, I still call my mom to this day, and she always tells me, she goes, I can tell what's going on before you even call, when you say hello. She goes, because I carried you and I know you.
Yeah.
So she's she always knows. And I remember I was getting bullied a lot in elementary school, elementary to middle school. And I was going through a really dark thing where I was coming home in 7th or 8th grade, and I was closing the door to my room every day. And I remember one day my mom opened the door. She's like, you're not going to come in here and do this. What's going on? I've noticed this change in you. And she was right there, what can I do? What can we do? What can your dad and I do? So I really appreciated that. I think it's important that you pay attention. But to your point, there is a boundary. And I knew that my parents weren't my friends.
Right.
Now I feel like as an adult, but in the moment, I knew that there was accountability.
They're on your side.
They were on my side, but they were going to hold me accountable.
You always get a sense of where the relationship is if a kid says, I can't do this because my mom will kill me, or, they won't care, I can do this, right? So that really is telling as to how that relationship is. So anyway, just something to think about.